It's been exciting to say the least this week with the Washington football team email scandal, the downfall of John Gruden, the emails that came out last night involving NFL General Counsel Jeff Pash, his correspondence with Bruce Allen, not in the same poisonous, toxic ballpark as Gruden, but still problematic because it shows the absence of that arm's-length relationship. League office needs to have all teams at the same distance, none closer, none farther. And there was a coziness there between Allen and Pash that can become problematic from a competitive standpoint, Miles. So now as we push this thing forward, I'm not ready to rule out the possibility of more Pash emails coming out. Why? Because a week ago, we saw initially one from Gruden and then more from Gruden. So maybe there's more from Pash we haven't seen yet. And then there's others that may have been corresponding with Bruce Allen or others with the team or others who previously worked for the team who sent emails on their account. Until we get all of these, we don't know where the next shoe is going to fall, as proven by the fact that last night the shoe fell on Jeff Pash.
Right, exactly. Look, a week ago, we were talking about the first email from John Gruden that came out that had the racist trope about DeMaurice Smith. And so I don't know that we know anything about where this thing can go, especially when there are so many emails. 650,000 of them is a huge, huge number. So any number of people and individuals could be among these emails and could have something untoward within those emails. So I think that it kind of goes back to what you've been saying. We need to just see all of it so that we're not in a position where, I should say this, so that any individual is not in a position where one particular or a couple of particular individuals can leak stuff to the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or whoever, and then that becomes that person's downfall. It all should be out there on the table. And, you know, there are teams that have started to argue this. Obviously, the Raiders, Derek Carr was also saying it, but it's just a weird position that we're in now where it seems like every couple of days, something else can happen where we're going to find out something that was in this trove of thousands and thousands of emails.
One thing I'll be writing about this weekend is the question of how this all got started as it relates to Gruden. Who pulled the cord on the lawnmower? Was it leaked by the league? And an important chicken and the egg question here, Miles. Was the league already in the process of gathering emails and sending them to the Raiders before the Wall Street Journal reported last Friday on the DeMaurice Smith racist trope email? Because some think that the report from the Wall Street Journal was the lawnmower starting. I believe the lawnmower was already starting, and I don't understand. And when we talk about competitive issues, competitive balance, competitive integrity, who decides that in October, between weeks 4 and 5, we are going to send the Raiders a packet of emails that their head coach sent years ago when he wasn't even working for the team and expect them to do something about it during the season and ultimately topple the head coach during the season for a team that was 3-1, quite possibly lost on Sunday because of the distractions, and now has a new head coach for the rest of the year who wasn't the guy who was ever hired to be the head coach and never would have been the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. That definitely creates competitive issues and screws up the competitive balance of the NFL. So whether this should have happened before the season, after the season, take your pick. But it seems to me this is something that never should have happened, Miles, during the season.
That's a good point, Mike, because I agree with you on the competitive issues there, because it truly is a competitive issue. I don't know how you can expect all of the players to say, yes, we were solely focused on football. And despite the fact that that's what they've been trying to say, and that's what they have been saying, I guess I should say, like it's impossible. They're all human. Right? You've got all of these different players from all of these different backgrounds. So many of them are black players. And you mean to tell me that the racist trope that their head coach used, even if it was years and years and years ago, was not on their mind at some point in the preparation process from Friday to Sunday, I don't believe it. And then you also have this week where, like you said, a man who was not supposed to be the head coach of this team is now the head coach of this team. They've not only had to change head coaches, but also offensive play callers. And that's going to make a difference, too, for the Raiders on Sunday and throughout the rest of the season. It does create this interesting competitive issue. And that's not to say, and I know you agree with this, that Gruden should not have lost his job, right? I don't think that there's any argument there because he got what was coming to him, right? You cannot use this kind of language and expect to keep your job in today's society. It's just not the way things work. However, you know, what you're saying is true. Who pulled the cord on the lawnmower and why is it happening now? And why is it only happening to him and whoever else? It just seems to be in this order that these emails keep coming out.
I think it's entirely possible to balance the two different theories that Gruden got what he deserved and Gruden got a raw deal, because there's plenty of others out there who deserve the same fate, who aren't getting it, and who will have to live in fear that they may get it at some point in the future. And the people I feel the most sorry for in all of this are the ones who, and I used Sean McVay's name earlier today, not that he has any reason to worry about anything, but he was with the Washington football team for years, in his 20s, and he had an email account, presumably. And he doesn't remember what he sent. He doesn't know. How do you remember all of that? For the same reason you don't want to get audited by the IRS, you don't want somebody digging through every single email that you sent 10 years ago and looking at it and asking, is this problematic? Is this offensive? When maybe you never intended it, maybe it's a misunderstanding. You just don't want to worry about that. But if you end up on somebody's enemies list, one of the people who have the keys to this weapon that has been used against Gruden and against Pash, you got to worry about it. You got to walk around every day wondering, when is the day they're going to point it at me and fire it?
Right, exactly. And it shouldn't be that way. All right. It just should not be that way, especially now that we've had this happen to not one, but two people through the media. I don't think this is the right way of going about it, but who knows if it is going to change. And the NFL doesn't seem to want it to change right now. You know, they still say that they're going to keep those emails under wraps. So we will see if it changes, Mike, but I applaud your effort to continue to put pressure on them to have more transparency in this, because that's the way it should have been in the first place. And this thing should not, the report, if you will, because it wasn't really a report, should not have been released on the couple of days before the 4th of July when everybody was basically not paying attention to it. So there's still so much more that we have to uncover about this entire process and, you know, what was discovered in that investigation.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.